Okay. Wait, let me get it out. Light phone 2. This is my review of the light phone II, Roman numeral 2. This is my review of that phone. It's a dumb phone. I've used a dumb phone for 6 months. For purposes of reviewing this phone, I concealed myself into confinement under a proverbial rock to be a homeless wanderer upon the vast desert of no content landscapiness, the desert of my own mind, my own thoughts, platitudes. I became a aimless drifter without content to guide me. I became an aimless wanderer. Not really. I was just using a different phone, a dumb phone. Well, I wrote a 4-hour-long script. I wrote a 24,000-word script about using this dumb phone. I guess because I had a lot of thoughts on the dumb phone. I filmed a lot of it. Yeah, I filmed a lot of it. You might have seen a short video that is a clip from the video. Hours of footage, gigabytes, probably 100 gigabytes of video footage that I filmed. In some ways, I've been filming this video for my entire life. But I decided that after all this filming, after all this writing, hours and hours and days and weeks and months poured into this dumb phone, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. I want to do this video, a 2-page review of the Light Phone 2. It's a light review of the Light Phone 2. Ideally, a Light Phone 2 review will be light. Will I ever release that long 4-hour Light Phone review that I've already filmed and would take me probably, days and probably weeks, months to edit still, because editing is a lot of work? The answer is maybe in the future, but that's the answer to pretty much everything. I might do it in the future. You think you'll ever go to the moon someday? Maybe in the future. You think you'll ever be able to breathe underwater? What do you think heaven's like? Maybe in the future. That one doesn't make sense. Actually, I got the printer to print dually sided, so it would have been a 3-page review, but thanks to technology, not dumb technology, might I add, it is only a 2-page review. I think you'll be thankful that this review is brief. There's not a lot to go on with a light phone, is there? I mean, what could be said about a phone that is intentionally meant to be dumb? It's a dumb phone. It doesn't have games on it. It doesn't have internet browser on it. It doesn't have photos on it. You can't take pictures with it. You can't take videos with it. You can't even draw a pixelated image like Microsoft Paint on this thing. It's a dumb phone. That brings up a good point though. What is a dumb phone? What is a dumb phone? What is a dumb phone? How dumb does a dumb phone have to be? Well, for me, it had to be a phone that didn't have an internet browser. I mean, could any phone with an internet browser really be said to be a dumb phone? That phone is smart. It's got the entire World Wide Web at its fingertips. It is telling you factoids and information. You're looking up things on Google. You're asking Jeeves. It's telling you what you want to know. But let's be real. It's not telling you truth. It's telling you what you want to know. Is that what makes it a smartphone? A phone that can tell you what you want to hear. A phone that tells you what your itching ears want to hear. A smartphone is a false prophet telling you what your itching ears want to hear. You really need to hear a message from a dumb phone. The true prophets of the phone landscape are dumb, as prophets often seem to be, but never are. This dumb phone happens to be one of a few dumb phones that actually don't have the internet and actually don't have a camera. It doesn't take photos. Look at the, what's it called? The phone. It's a 33. Look at the Nokia 3310. The Nokia 3310 is a dumb phone. It's dumb in a sense because, I mean, just look at it. It's a brick. It's small and it has a tiny screen, 3 centimeters by 3 centimeters. No full QWERTY keyboard, but it has buttons. You have to tap the numbers to get the letters to text out in an SMS text message. But yet, you know, look at it a little closer and you'll see it does have a camera on it. It has a way to listen to music on it. Probably even has a way to listen to podcasts on it. It has an internet browser. You can take pictures and videos with it. You can send and receive pictures and videos with it. Can we really say that it's not a smartphone? The Nokia 3310 is a smartphone, and you can't just go and buy an old version of a Nokia 3310 to have a dumb phone. I tried to do this. I went online. I looked on eBay, someone selling an old Nokia 3310 that I could scoop up in an eBay listing, and I tried to see, could I use this today? And the answer is no. You cannot use a Nokia 3310 on the cell phone towers of today because it only has, like, I think 2G service. All these cell phone providers, at least the one that I have, they're phasing out 2G service, so you can only use phones that are compatible with the newer and newer Gs. They keep making new Gs. 5G LTE now or something? 6G's coming. They're doing 7G, then they're going to do 8G, probably skip 9G, go to 10G, probably skip 13G, go to 14G. Why do we need so many Gs? I'm perfectly content having 2Gs. But it's not up to me. They've decided 2Gs is not enough Gs. 3Gs at least is what you need. If you're gonna have a cell phone, you can't just go back and buy a 2G Nokia 3310. You can't do it. Your only option is buying one of these. If you want a dumb phone, you have to buy this phone or a couple other types of phones. It's not meant to be a main phone. It's not meant to be the phone that you use every day. It's meant to be a phone where put your SIM card in it. Let me show you how to put a SIM card in it. There's a spot for a SIM card. I don't have a SIM card popping tool. It's convenient enough. So it's a kind of phone that you're supposed to take your SIM card, put it in there when you want to not be distracted. If I'm being honest about that, it's not as good as an iPhone. I mean, iPhones have the mode where you can do not disturb mode, and then you won't be disturbed. And in fact, it's better to have an iPhone if all your friends have iPhones, because you can turn it on do not disturb mode, and then it'll tell all your friends that you're on do not disturb mode, and you won't be disturbed by them because they see that you are in do not disturb mode. Why would you want to pop out your SIM card and go, look, I'm getting a text message right now. I'm being disturbed even though I turned it on do not disturb mode. Wait, who's giving me a text? Ah, yes, confirmation that I was waiting for. See, I just got totally distracted from this making a video because of a light phone that's supposed to be about not distracting me, even though I have it on do not disturb mode, which is nothing mode. There's a mode on this phone. So there's vibrate only, there's the ringer, and you have 5 different settings of how loud that can be. You can go down to vibrate only, and then we'll go down one more and it goes to nothing. Just the fact that it says nothing and it has a little circle that's unfilled in feels satisfying. However, if I look at the face of my screen, it still shows me a little notification that someone has texted me, voicemailed me, or called me. I don't want any notifications when I'm on nothing mode. What was I talking about? Let me get out a mark. I have magic markers here. I'm going to cross some things off that I talked about. Texting. Texting on the light phone. It's not good. Well, here's the thing. It has a full QWERTY keyboard. You know the kind that I'm talking about. It has all the letters in line as you see on a keyboard. I read one time that we have a QWERTY keyboard because it was supposed to keep people from typing too fast. Like, it was actually meant and designed to make people slow down when they're typing. The thing's got a full QWERTY keyboard. You might think that's a good thing for texting, but let me tell you, it's a bad thing. I really wish that it had T9 word. T9 word is a type of predictive texting that on a numeric keypad, each of the numbers is related to a few of the different letters in the alphabet. When you type in a sequence of numbers, it takes those numbers and it puts in the letters that correspond to those numbers and tries to predict what you're trying to say based on that code that you put in. And then if it doesn't predict it correctly, you can push down to go to the next option. That would be a much better thing to put on the light phone. But it has a full QWERTY keyboard with a tiny display. So you kind of have to have tiny fingers in order to use the tiny keyboard. There's no option to change how you input the text. On top of that, the only way to actually get in there and do a text, here's the thing, okay? When I open the phone up, I get a notification and it's in the vertical orientation. Then I open up the button and I have a list of people who are talking to me in the vertical orientation. Then I click on the person who had texted me and I get a text which I can read in the vertical orientation. And then I click the button in the bottom right corner to write a new text and I get a QWERTY keyboard in the horizontal orientation. So now, what are you supposed to do with that? It doesn't change to the vertical. You can't make it go to the vertical. So I'm looking at my phone and I'm trying to type into the phone with a vertical keyboard and I'm looking at it sidelong. It's not good. So you got to turn it sideways, right? But then I can't really reach all of the keys with one thumb. So it's I have to use two entire hands to manhandle this tiny phone. Look, I'm manhandling this tiny phone and then send it. It's not ideal. Not ideal. The thing that I notice myself doing is that I open up the phone and I look at the text and then I go to respond, and if it's short enough of a word, then I will type it on the vertical sidelong keyboard. Try to find the letters OK. Find them at the bottom. It makes you really look at things from a new perspective. It makes you look at things from a new perspective. I didn't want to look at things from a new perspective. I'm perfectly fine with my own normal perspective. You can also turn it sideways. You can use one hand sideways if you don't have to use an A in any of your texts, or a Q or a Z. If you don't have to use those letters, you can just type with one hand sideways, or two hands sideways if you're doing a full Lord of the Rings style novel written out from your dumb phone, which it wouldn't be the first time someone's written a novel on a phone. The dumb phone also has voice texting, the kind of voice texting where it listens to your voice and then it transfers that voice into a typed text that you can send. Problem with it is it's too good. It recognizes your speech and then it puts periods in where you probably would want a period. But if I'm texting someone and I'm doing a text message, I don't want to be so formal as to put all these periods at the end of every sentence, just period, period, period. What is this, an MLA style paper? I'm not trying to write for my professor here. It's just a buddy I have from church. It literally texts out LOL, period. How is that a sentence? It forces you to be slow at texting. It forces you to be slow at texting, which isn't entirely a bad thing. Maybe you could say that it was a good thing. It's a light phone. It's meant to make you slow down at things. It's meant to make you take your time at things. On the other hand, yes, it's meant to make me take time at things, but on the other hand, do I really want to take my time looking at the phone? I mean, I know it's beautiful typography on this phone, and all the things that my friends are texting to me are definitely novel-worthy sentiments, but I don't want to spend that much time looking at my phone. The point of getting a dumb phone is to spend less time looking at your phone. So I don't know if it's good or bad. One of the things that people ask me about this dumb phone that they commonly ask me is, not that. They ask me, how much does it cost? It seems like a dumb phone should be less expensive, right? I don't blame you for thinking that. A dumb phone should be a cheap phone. A dumb phone should be an inexpensive phone. I don't blame you for thinking that. I thought that. I wanted to buy the Nokia 3310. I wanted to go on eBay and pay $20, maybe $20. I actually wanted to go on eBay and bid on something that was 99 cents for a Nokia 3310. Get this dumb phone in the mail and use it. And no, you can't use a 99-cent dumb phone. The cost of a phone is not cheap. I need a new colored marker here. Pink. The cost of the dumb phone is this one, the light phone. It costed me like $400. You can get a smartphone for free. There are these guys who stand on the street corners in my town, and they have a booth, a table with a banner above it, and it says free phones. They'll give you a smartphone for free. What does it tell you when you get something for free? Does that make you happy? Does that make you feel good about yourself? Does that make you feel like there's not something weird going on here? Huh? You can get a smartphone for free, but you can only get a dumb phone without internet, a dumb phone without photography, and whatever else smartphones have. You can only get that for $400, at least. It's not going to cost you less from your cell phone provider either. That's what people think. I have a dumb phone, I am going to get a cheaper cell phone plan. No, it's going to cost you the same, maybe even more. They don't care about what phone you have. I have Mint Mobile, which is a very affordable cell phone service, but I know a guy who has Verizon. He has an iPhone 8, which is basically a dumb phone now because it's basically obsolete. It's obsolete. It's not receiving updates. It's worse than a dumb phone. It's an obsolete phone. It's trash. But he's paying $200 a month for phone service. If you get a dumb phone, it's not going to make your phone bill go down. It makes my phone bill go down, kind of, because I use a cheap phone service. You know, if I had another phone, and I did have another phone, when I had another phone, the last phone I had was an iPhone 11. When I had that phone, I was paying the same amount for cell phone service. It costs a lot to buy a dumb phone, and it costs the same to use it on a cell phone service. That's what a lot of people have been asking me. When you have a phone like this, people look at your phone, they say, whoa, that's weird. And maybe you're the kind of person who's like me, who considers yourself a little bit different. And you take pride in your differentness. And you want people to think, look at that guy. That guy's different. I want to be like that guy. I want to know that guy. This is maybe a good phone for you. It's not cheaper. It's not a cheap phone for you. You gotta pay to play. I don't want to pay for my cell phone anymore. I want the cell phone to be free. Why do we have to pay for phones? Okay, look, I bought a landline telephone for like $7 at Marshall's on clearance. First of all, why did Marshall's have a phone at all, a landline telephone at all? I don't think there's any store in my town where they sell landline telephones. It's like, why would you, you can't buy one. And I don't have landline telephone service in my house. I bought the telephone simply so that I could smash it onto the ground. I did that, and it didn't make me feel better. And actually, when I smashed the telephone onto the ground, it didn't break like I thought it would. It broke into like 2 pieces, but it went right back together. I still have it. The kids play with it sometimes. That is a phone that will be around forever. It's plastic and metal. It's not going to degrade in any kind of weathering. You would have to take a bomb. It would take more than a stick of dynamite to blow this thing up. Speaking of needing to pay for things, I went to a hardcore festival recently and I wanted to buy a t-shirt. I went over there, I stood in line. First of all, I should tell you, this was a t-shirt from a skinhead band, which normally I wouldn't support something that is like racist And then I found out that they are not racists. They're just skinheads, and they're trying to retake the name skinheads to be something else. They had a shirt and it said casual violence on it. And I looked around at all the shirts at that hardcore festival. There were some handsome looking shirts. One of the shirts looked like a shirt that I myself printed. Not that I actually did the physical printing of it, but a band that I was in, we printed this shirt. It was a cool band. It was a band called End It, and they made a shirt specifically for this festival. It reminded me of the first shirt that I ever got printed with one of my bands. And I thought, that's a really nice, cool shirt. But the one shirt that stuck out to me the most, for whatever reason, was a shirt that said casual violence. And it was written in red font on a white shirt, and just the most bold Futura font. Just very red font on a white shirt. Futura? That's Costco. That's the Costco logo. But it didn't say Costco. It said casual violence. That to me spoke to me. It was a nice looking shirt. And it didn't say anything about skinhead on it. Just said casual violence. I got in line to get the shirt. There was a few people ahead of me in line because this band had just played and they just went over to their merch table. They were buying shirts, and I noticed that they were all paying with their phones. And the guy, when I got up there, he said, "We take Venmo and PayPal or whatever. We only take Venmo and PayPal." Shoot, I don't have those. But I did have $20 cash. The shirt was $25. I thought maybe at this point I was out of luck. I only had $20. The shirt was $25. I explained to them that I had only a dumb phone and that this dumb phone didn't allow me to use the paying methods that they had set up. I did have a credit card, and I would happily pay them a credit card. They didn't have the ability to take a credit card. It turns out, if you talk to these people, they will give you a deal. They gave me the shirt for $20. I did say that I would go to the ATM and get another $20 out, but they said it was fine. I didn't have to. When I was in a band, I had the ability to take someone's credit card, swipe that credit card, and have them pay me with that credit card. But today, people just have everything on their cell phones. They can pay with their cell phones. If you have a dumb phone like this, you can't pay for things like that with your cell phone. Just know that. Know that. And be prepared for that. Be prepared to haggle for a t-shirt at a hardcore show. Hardcore people are very nice and understanding. They'll give you a deal. This calls for another color. Maybe you're wondering why I have magic markers in this desk. Well, this isn't my desk. It's a desk at church, and this was an empty drawer, so I filled it with magic markers that we use for children's church. That's why. One thing I have to point out about this cell phone is that it has podcasts on it. It has the ability for you to sit down, set up whatever podcasts you want, put them onto your phone, and then continuously download them as they come out. That's how podcasts work. It's like radio, but it works by the internet. I help with a podcast. I help out with a podcast called Maybe It's Spiritual. We do podcasts like every week, and the podcast is about talking to people about their spiritual experiences, or paranormal rather experiences, not really spiritual experiences. Some people talk about their spiritual experiences. I would welcome more people to talk about spiritual experiences on Maybe It's Spiritual. That would be cool. I help with a podcast, and I don't really listen to podcasts. I don't really listen to podcasts because I don't find myself in a lot of situations where I need to have audio book type situation of learning into my ears. I don't find myself getting into a lot of those situations because basically what I do is like write things, and then I try to film things, and then I edit things. And maybe you would think like during the editing of things that I'm doing. Like, for instance, my brother listens to podcasts when he's doing footage culls. It's kind of a boring thing that you do when you look at all the footage that you've got and you kind of organize it in a way that makes sense. I don't do that. I did do that before. But when I've done it, I haven't listened to a podcast. I just don't get that bored that easily. I don't need to listen to podcasts. I don't need to listen to podcasts. I have listened to podcasts before. I listened to a podcast about NFTs one time. I found that it was anecdotal and that the information was bias. Bias and anecdotal information. Is that what all podcasts are? I also listened to another podcast once. It was called Alice. I think it's called Alice Isn't Dead. Man, that was a good podcast. It was a fiction podcast. Have you listened to fiction podcasts? They're extremely good. The storytelling ones. Maybe I should have got that one or something from those guys onto this dumb phone. Maybe then I would have listened to podcasts on this dumb phone, but I don't listen to podcasts. I just don't get in the situation where I need to. And I don't find them dumb. I find them smart. Too smart. Not in a good way. People talking on and on about things that they probably don't even know that much about. And I know what you're going to say. Isn't that what you're doing right now? And kind of, yes, it is what I'm doing right now, except I know a lot about the Light Phone 2 because I used it for 6 months. That makes me an expert. Does that make me an expert? You have to do something for 10,000 hours in order to become a professional at it. Maybe even 40,000 hours. You know how many hours 10,000 hours is? You know how long that would take if you worked 40 hours a week? It takes 4 years. I calculated that one time. Let me do the math again. This dumb phone, as you should know, has a calculator. That's one of the things that it can do. 40 hours times 52, 2,000 hours a year. I calculated wrong before. 5 years. I'm glad I had a calculator on this phone because I was wrong. It's 5 years. 5 years to become an expert in something. And that's if you do it for 40 hours a week. And I certainly don't look at my phone for 40 hours a week. Has anyone ever been an expert of any phone then? No. So who cares? Expertism doesn't matter if expertism doesn't exist. This phone hasn't even been out for 5 years. I got off topic. Got to get back to my marker usage. This isn't actually a regular marker. It's a stamp. It has a U. Cool. Page 2 of the dumb phone review. If you need to take a break from this review, now would be a good point. I'm not saying that there's some kind of structure to this review, like there's some kind of reason why right here you should take a break. I'm just saying it's okay to take a break. Go ahead. But if you do take a break, make sure to set an alarm because I wouldn't want to lose you. Speaking of alarms, alarm clocks are on this phone. Speaking of alarms, I hate alarms. They wake you up out of a deep slumber. They wake you up without warning. They wake you up obnoxiously. The first alarm that I ever had was is that the first alarm I ever had? No. First alarm I ever had was kind of like a clock radio, but it plays CDs. No, that's not right. The first alarm clock I ever had, it was a clock radio. It didn't play CDs. I had a CD player. That was different. I had an alarm clock. It was blue. It was atrociously loud, not sounding, looking. An LED like screen. It had the, digital look. Super bright. Brighter than the sun. You can't stare directly into this thing. It also had a dim mode, which was way more practical. It had an alarm clock radio, and I turned on the alarm clock radio so that in the morning I would be woken up by Christian talk radio and Christian music. And that, I gotta tell you, is annoying to wake up to. It's just so happy. How is it 4 a.m. and you're that chipper and they're on drugs? They're clearly on drugs. How are you calling yourself a Christian radio station and you got your employees on drugs? They're on meth or something. These guys are getting up at 4 a.m. and they're telling you how joyful they are. It's at least caffeine, an obnoxious amount of caffeine that they have in their systems, and they're letting all that out, and the joy is coming. Too much joy. There's a proverb in the Proverbs. It says, a loud good morning is a curse. That's in the Bible. If you're a Christian radio station, you should listen to the Bible. That was my first alarm. I hated that alarm. I hated getting up in the morning. I couldn't stand it. Actually, I didn't mind it at first. I didn't mind getting up in the morning when I would get enough sleep and my parents enforced a strict 9 p.m. bedtime, I wouldn't feel like I needed to sleep more. But that was in elementary school. I remember going to field day, the last day of 5th grade, and my friend Shane showed up 2 hours late. It was the last day. It wasn't like we were doing anything important. I'm sure he knew that. He told my teacher that he didn't wake up to his alarm. And I was like, dude, what? How do you not wake up just ready to face the beautiful day? Well, I learned. I started staying up late. I started staying up atrociously late. At my friend Shane's house on his birthday, we stayed up till well past midnight, watching Sex and the City and horror movies like Psycho. That shower scene really freaked me out, by the way. I began to stay up too late, and I began to hate alarm clocks. Alarm clocks were then the bane of my existence. They became terribly disgusting. I never got back into feeling like alarm clocks were okay. All that until the light phone. The light phone has a good alarm clock. It's quiet. I'm a light sleeper. I will wake up if there is any minute disturbance. I hear all the creaks and the sounds of the night. None of them pass me by. None of them go in and out of my ears. I wear earplugs at night so that I don't have to hear every single little creak. It only blocks out so much when you have a 2-year-old sleeping in a room across the hall. I'm a light sleeper. It doesn't take much to get me up, and the light phone's alarm only vibrates. You can set it to only vibrate. You can set it to vibrate mode, and vibrate mode on the alarm, it's actually so subtle that I've left it just vibrating for hours. I have one time was doing a study. I was studying the Bible in the morning for a full half of one entire hour with the light phone alarm vibrate on full blast in the very same room. I did wonder what that mechanical chirping sound was. It did drive me crazy, not knowing what this circuitous sound was. When I found out what it was, I didn't think the dumb phone was the only dumb thing in the room. I felt like a dummy. For a while, I used the light phone alarm every single day to wake up at 6 a.m. I did it so that I could get up an hour earlier than everyone in my house. I would be able to use the light phone to get up without waking up anyone else. And every other phone alarm that I've ever used has been obnoxiously loud. My pastor has a infamously loud motorcycle sound whenever he has an alarm for something. My wife has a stock iPhone xylophone. Dun, 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 dun. Before that, I used an alarm called, it's not called anything. I used an alarm, the theme song from Chariots of Fire. I used that alarm because it would slowly, the music started at a 0 volume level. It would slowly get louder and louder. And that would let me wake up and hopefully not anyone else. But sometimes I wouldn't wake up fast enough and other people would hear it. The light phone, to my knowledge, no one has ever heard it except for me. It's the best phone alarm. The light phone is therefore then the best phone that I've ever used. Weird. Time for another marker. Screen time on the light phone. You don't rack it up. You don't spend a lot of time looking at your screen when your screen is like basically a tiny Kindle. It's an e-ink reader display. Does it even count as screen time if you're looking at basically a Kindle? If you're looking at a Kindle, does that count as screen time? You can only read books on it. Is that screen time? Does it count as screen time if you're reading books on your phone? I read books on my phone. I know that it does count as screen time. It is screen time to read books on your phone. There's a section of screen time for educational screen time, making it seem like educational screen time is better than other screen time, but aren't you just on a different kind of screen rabbit hole if you're reading a book? That may be a weird take. What am I saying, right? That books are dangerous? That might be a weird take for somebody. Somebody might hear that and say, this guy's a fool. Well, I can be. Here's the thing about using a dumb phone and not having a phone that is completely distracting like all those other phones out there that are so glitzy and glittery and glibbery, and that I just want to slide my slippery hand in my pocket and just gaze into its wondrousness. Here's the thing about using a dumb phone. You still use the computer. I, personally at least, I still use the computer, and I use it for my work. I use it almost every day, almost all day for work. And screen time, as I've said, it has an educational section, and it tells me that yes, you used your screen all day, but you used it for productive things. Well, what if I don't care about being productive? I'm not a productivity bro. I'm not a machine. I'm a human. And I know that humans are not meant to be productivity machines. They're meant to be humans. Humans are meant to be in relationship with people, other humans. Every time that you use as time in front of a screen, you're not relating to other humans. Maybe it could be argued that you're making yourself more relatable by consuming content that other people also consume. Maybe there's a lot of pressure actually to consume all of this content so that you can fit in with your peers. What's up with that? I don't know. I don't know the answer to all these philosophical questions of, is all screen time equal? Is some screen time better than other screen times? All I know is that the dumb phone, it doesn't really make me spend less time looking at a screen. I never spent that much time looking at a screen in the first place. That's an anecdote, though. That's my experience. You may spend all your time, maybe you're a garbage truck driver, and you spend all your time looking at garbage. It's better than looking at a screen. Maybe you're a teacher and you spend all your time in relationship with your kids, your students, and you don't, but sometimes you get sucked into looking at your phone screen for hours and hours on end. And you think, man, I just want to nip that habit in the bud, and I just want to start just using dumb phones so that I can stop looking at my smartphone so much. It might be a good phone for you. This might be a good phone for you. I think you should buy it. Try it and buy it. Let me know what you think. Maybe you'll like it. Speaking of screen times, I mean, sometimes you gotta look at a screen. Like when I'm trying to read the Bible in the dark. It doesn't happen that often, but sometimes it happens quite often. I wake up in the middle of the night. When you wake up in the middle of the night, there's only so much you can do. You can't get up. I can't get up at 3 a.m. and start my day. What am I supposed to do at 3 a.m.? There's nothing good that I'm going to do. There's nothing productive. And I know, I'm not a productivity machine. Maybe I should just go take a walk. It's weird to walk around the neighborhood at 3 a.m. People think you're a weirdo. You are a weirdo. Sometimes what I like to do is read on my phone, read the Bible on my phone maybe. Well, I can't do that with the dumb phone. You can't read a book on a dumb phone. You could listen to a podcast. Maybe I should do that next time. I implemented a different tool into my screen life. Is that good? Man, I stopped using an iPhone and then I introduced another screen into my screen lineup because I use the dumb phone. I use a Palm Pilot to read the Bible when it's too dark to see. I haven't done it super often, but I have done it sometimes. Palm Pilots were around before smartphones. My dad bought one before talk of smartphones was ever even brought up at all. My grandpa had a Palm Pilot when it came out. I remember at family gatherings, he would get it out of his front shirt pocket, load up a Bible verse to pray over us all. It was a technological device and technological advancement. I don't think anyone back then would have been able to predict the way that smartphones are today. And if they would have known how things would go down, my dad and my grandpa probably wouldn't have wanted to support that kind of everyone has a smartphone in their pocket revolution. Maybe they would. My dad has an iPhone now. He doesn't need the Palm Pilot anymore. So I use it, and I use it to read the Bible in the dark, since I can't do it on my dumb phone. You might find yourself in these kind of situations if you decide to use one of these phones. You need to come up with a creative solution to a problem that smartphones just made it super easy to overcome, and you took it for granted. You take having a smartphone for granted. That's a good thing about having one of these phones, is that it forces you to be creative and to be resourceful with other things that you wouldn't necessarily be creative and resourceful with. I want to talk about notes on the light phone. Smiling Coconut is the best note that I've ever written on the light phone. I've written many notes on the light phone. I've written notes about things that I've learned. I've written notes about ideas that I've had. Great ideas. Maybe not great ideas. Good ideas. Decent ideas. Ideas. The best note I've ever written was Smiling Coconut. I was even taught how to take notes while having this phone. I went to a skate conference in Louisville, Kentucky this year. There was a guy speaking there named Lou. Louisville? Lou told us that we should take notes. It was a Christian skate conference, and he was telling us some Christian ideas. And he was telling us that we should take notes on the Bible and the verse. Oh my gosh, that's loud. I'm gonna wait for that. There's a lawnmower outside. It's super loud. I'm going to wait for it. I'm going to write my... All right, I'm not going to stop doing this video just because there's a lawnmower sound outside. This part of the video is going to have lawnmower sound in it. If that makes you mad and upset, let me know, and I will never do this again. Lou taught us how to take notes in a book, in a journal, and he told me to only write on one side of the journal instead of writing in both sides of the journal, because one side's weird and puffs up. And then also he said you should take down the Bible in verse, chapter and verse of everything a speaker says, so that you can then go back into it and in your own study see if what they were teaching actually lines up with the Bible teaches. That's a good way to take notes. I did that. Well, when I was at this conference, I didn't have a journal, and all I had was the light phone. So I used the light phone for the next speaker. I took notes on the light phone, but I never used them correctly. I mean, I never went back into that note and checked in the Bible if what he was saying was actually said by the Bible. I mean, one of the things that he said was that the people who were in Star Wars all had to sign something that said they would be satanic or something. That's not in the Bible. I know that. Not that he was teaching that that was in the Bible, but just that sometimes people just say things, and the point is you should really take notes on what people are saying and find out if what they're saying is actually true. I didn't exactly do that in a very good way because the light phone isn't really good at taking that kind of notes. The light phone is good at taking notes like Smiling Coconut. Smiling Coconut is the Wi-Fi password to the church that I work at. People have asked me, what's the Wi-Fi password? And I've had it handily programmed on my phone so that I can look it up for them. That's a good note. It's a good way to use the Notes app on this phone. The light phone is not good at taking extensive notes. Speaking of things that the light phone is not good at, it's also not good at taking pictures. Well, it doesn't have a camera, so you'd think that's obvious, but most dumb phones, as far as I can tell, have a camera. What's up with that? It's not even a good camera. Are any smartphones' cameras even really that good? I bought the iPhone 13 when it came out. I bought it because my camera had broken and I was wanting to buy a new camera. I decided to buy the iPhone 13 Pro instead. I thought, wow, this is pretty good for a phone camera, but it's definitely not a camera. So I instantly returned it and bought a real camera. The deal is that most people don't need a real camera. They don't want a real camera. They don't want to have everything set to manual. They don't want to set all the white balance every time they take a video. They don't want to set the exposure. They don't want to set the aperture. They don't want to deal with focal lengths, focuses, lenses. For most people, an iPhone is just great. It's just good enough. Good enough. The phone on the light phone is not good enough. It's nothing. So There's a saying in skateboarding and maybe in other things. The saying goes like this: if there's no footage, it's fiction. Well, it's not true. My friend Connor has asked me to film a video for him. He wants to film a video part. This is my friend Connor, who thinks the internet is evil, who has one day argued to me that VHS tapes are better than DVDs. He wants to film a skateboard video part. He once told me about a professional skateboarder who was never filmed or photographed. That there was a skateboarder who was so good, even though advertisers wouldn't be able to take his picture and put it on the front of Thrasher magazine, shoe manufacturers wouldn't be able to take his video likeness and sell it into YouTube videos. Even though there was no footage, the guy was pro. The guy was pro because he was a good skateboarder, not because he could film good tricks. That skateboarder was made up. He was a lie. Connor made him up. If anyone could have been the no footage pro, I think it would have been Connor. Connor would have been a good guy to be the no footage pro. What these brands want is people who are influential, people who other people care about what their opinion is. Connor could have been that pro. He's no Tony Hawk or anything, but he's a good skater. Other good skaters listen to him. There's at least between 10 and 100 other skateboarders who listen to Connor's opinion about skateboarding things, and if he was a professional sponsored skateboarder, they would listen to his opinion about products. But Connor wants to film a skateboard part now. Now, everyone has a camera, so the question of having skateboard tricks on footage is not really a question anymore. Yesterday, I was skateboarding in my garage with my brother, and we were doing a bunch of tricks on a mini ramp that I just built. Silly tricks together where I would go up and do an axle stall and he did a rock to fakie. And we filmed those tricks with his smartphone camera. It's just what you do. Film things with your smartphone camera. Everyone has a camera. Everyone's making a highlight reel of their life. Even if you're not specifically taking photos and videos, editing them down into something like a wedding video, you're taking photos and videos. Apple is analyzing those photos and videos and editing them into a highlight reel for you. You don't even have to do anything or hire anyone. It does it all for you. So Connor wants to film a skate video part. I really like the idea of the no footage pro. I thought it was a romantic idea that a pro could be so influential that he didn't have to make video parts or take pictures of stunts for magazines, that he would just be good enough to be pro. And yes, if anyone would be that pro, it would have been Connor, but no one's going to be that pro anymore because we're going to film that video part. There's going to be footage. Calculator on the light phone. It's very basic, and that is to say, I basically never use it. It's not like it's a bad calculator or anything. Can you really be a bad calculator? A bad calculator would be a calculator that tells you the wrong answer to a calculation. I guess maybe it is a bad calculator because, man, you can really fumble up and mumble up your bumble jumble, you're typing your digits there. And if you do that, you're going to get a wrong answer. Man, it is a bad calculator. Can't really say that much about it because I never use it. In fact, earlier in this video, when I made that calculation that I made, the calculation of, I didn't write it down, 10,000 hours. How many years it would take to take 10,000 hours? 5 years. 5 years to be an expert. That was the first time that I used the calculator on this phone. And that's an exaggeration. I've probably used it like maybe 3 other times total in the course of 6 months. That's once every other month. What do you use a cell phone calculator for? I know I don't use a cell phone calculator for anything. Tips are too easy to calculate. Maybe I'm just a genius at calculating tips, but I can do it. And I can do it when I've had one too many drinks. You can ask my wife about that. She always checks. Tips are too easy for me. I don't need the phone calculator for tips. What else would you do? What are you gonna do? Like calculate up your grocery trip as you go? $5 pizza plus $4 for a gallon of ice cream plus $3 for a bag of chips. That's what you buy at the grocery store, right? Just junk food? Me too. I never use it. I can't think of a reason why I would want to use this calculator. It's got, let me look at it, all the digits, 1 through 0, 1 through 9, and 0. So 0 through 9, all the digits, clear button, plus minus button, positive and negative button rather, percent button, divide button, multiply button, minus button, plus button, an equals button, decimal point, and an empty space where they could have put another button, but they didn't. A minimal design. It's a pretty looking calculator. I just can't think of a reason why I would ever want to calculate anything. One time I went to Family Video to apply for a job, and it was like this weird thing where you have to take I applied for the job and I got an interview. I got a call back for an interview, and I went into the interview and I did the interview, and I did pretty well on the interview. I thought, oh, I'm going to get this job. Yes, this job will be in my future. It was more hours than what I was being given at Hot Topic. I was working at the mall, and I wanted to work at Family Video. I wanted to put those DVDs away, tell people what DVDs that they should rent next. I wanted to sell them candy. Pretty good at selling people candy. Candy basically sells itself. But they had this weird thing where you have to take an ACT style test after your interview, and I did. I didn't do that good. I did bad. I did horribly. I didn't know there was going to be a test. No one told me there was going to be a test, and my friend worked there. My friend Keisha worked there. She told me to go and apply. She told me that I would definitely get hired, but she didn't tell me there would be a test. She told me that she also failed the test. She had to go back in 2 weeks to retake it. I took the test, and there was long division on that test. I don't remember how to do long division by hand. Could I figure it out now? How do I do long division by hand? How many times does 75 go into 10,400? 75, 150, 138, and some remainder. Let's see if that's correct. I'll use my calculator. 138.6. See, I can do long division. It was a test. It was pressure on the test. So I failed it. I failed the test, and I didn't get that job. What kind of stuff are they doing at Family Video that they would need to do long division? What are they going to divide the number of DVDs that came in the previous night by the number of hours that they work so they can figure out how many DVDs they have to put back per hour? They're not using long division. On the iPhone, I had an app called Photomath. Photomath is a much better calculator where you can take a picture of a math problem and it figures out the problem for you and shows you the steps. That's a good math calculator. But even that, it was not good enough for the advanced math that I had to take. I had to take advanced math because I was going to school to be an engineer at one point. And for that class, you had to have a TI-84 plus. I had a TI-84 plus CE. Sounds like something that Terminator would need for a spare part. The CE stands for color addition, so if you wanted to have different graphs with different colors on them, you could do that. Just about as helpful as having a red or a blue Pokemon cartridge. The light phone calculator, it calculates, but it's no TI-84 plus CE. It's no Photomath. It's very basic. If you need help with tips, it might be good for you. Talking on the phone is something that most people with phones will do occasionally, if not often, frequently, if not just once in a while. Talking on the phone is something that I do daily. Probably daily, maybe daily. At least weekly. Weekly. I'll say weekly. Talking on the phone is something that I do weekly plus. I talk on the phone regular mode. I talk on the phone speaker mode. I don't talk on the phone Bluetooth mode. I do have a Bluetooth connection in my car, and My iPhone used to connect up to it and I would play songs on there, but it's supposed to have like a microphone in the car somewhere. I don't know. But whenever I would call someone using the Bluetooth mode in my car, it didn't work. There was no microphone. I don't know. It's just like, can't hear me. I bought a really cheap stereo system for the car, so that's probably why. But I don't use that anymore. Don't use the Bluetooth mode. I use regular mode and I use speaker mode to talk to people. You know, people have wondered, like, can you actually dial buttons while you're talking on the phone with this? Because sometimes you need to, look at this. This is what I was talking about. It's got a little notification right there, and that's bothering me right now, even though I have it in do not disturb mode. And I know you're going to say, well, you looked at the phone. Yes, but what if you just wanted to look at the clock? Some people only have a phone so that it can be their clock. Now I have to look at it. Okay, that was good that I looked at that because it was a reminder that I had to leave at a certain time, and I'm doing a really long video right now. I might have not been there in time. Talking on the phone, I do it a lot. Talking on this phone is a good experience. It's fine. It's just like any other phone that I've ever used, any other cell phone. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing good about it. There's nothing bad about it. It's fine. I've come to expect all phone talking to be just fine, and it is just fine. I've never really been very disappointed with talking on the phone. In a phone, whether it be a dumb phone or a smartphone. I don't think smartphones are better at talking into the phone on them, and dumb phones are not worse. What I was going to say was that, yes, you can use the dial buttons when you're talking on this phone. Someone has wondered that, and I told them, yes, in fact, you can. It's not that dumb. It's not too dumb to be able to do all the things that you need to do with a phone. In middle school, I talked on the phone to my friend named Adam. Adam put me on a three-way call with my other friend called Nick. Adam and Nick and I were, I guess maybe you would call us best friends in middle school. Adam and Nick made fun of me. They were jerks to me. They made fun of me because I went to McDonald's with them on multiple occasions and I didn't have any money. I asked them to borrow some money so I could buy a McDonald's drink. Their mommies and daddies gave them $5 each to whenever they went out of the house, so they could always have money to go to McDonald's. My mommy and daddy never gave me $5 for pocket spending cash. If I had cash, it was because I was working my butt off and doing chores and collecting 15 or 30 cents for vacuuming the hallway or the living room once a week. They called me and we had a three-way conversation. They didn't make fun of me on the phone. They made fun of me at other times. When we were on the phone, we were probably talking crap about other people at school. Probably Adam was telling us about some girl that he liked, or maybe we were going over things that we would do in our next band practice because we had a band called 5 Star Chaos. In that band, we wrote a song called The Aliens Are Coming. It was your typical middle school type of band. They called me and they talked on the phone with me. I don't know why I remember specifically. Maybe it was just one time that they called me and that they had this conversation, this three-way conversation with me. I thought it was pretty awkward and weird because they were calling me on my home phone and my mom was like telling me I needed to get off the phone, that I was taking too long on the phone. I felt embarrassed and awkward that I was on the phone. I wasn't really talking to them anyways. I was listening to their conversation, but I wasn't really interested in gabbing with them about this stuff that they were talking. If I ever talked on the phone in those days, it was just to call someone up and see if they could come over, or if I could go over to their house, or if we could play, see if Zach could play, and see if Jimmy could play. Call my friend's house and see if Robert could play, see if Mike Sartino could play. I would just call people's house and ask if they could play. But in middle school, Adam and Nick called me because they wanted to talk on the phone. Another time, I called my friend Sean, not because I wanted to talk and not because I wanted to ask him to play, but because I wanted to ask him a specific question. Would he start a Southern rock band with me? He said, yes, of course he would start a Southern rock band with me. And then after that conversation, we never talked about the Southern Rock Band again. It's almost as if that phone conversation never happened. And it's not like I was bringing up that conversation to him again, and he wasn't bringing up that conversation to me again at any time. So it's like it never happened. Phone conversations don't have a record of their happening like text messages do. Phone conversations are social interactions where you can hang out with your friends on the phone. I do them weekly plus, and the light phone is quite fine at them. I didn't score anything on a starring system until this, but 5 stars. That was me drawing out 5 stars. The light phone is a phone that makes me proud. It makes me proud to own a phone that other people can't just willy-nilly get a hold of me. It makes me proud to know that I don't spend hours and hours on my phone just doom scrolling through different applications. It makes me proud to know that there's not an endless, unlimited supply of apps that I could download to the phone. Having no camera on the phone makes me proud. The first camera that I had was a JVC Handycam High 8 camera. My brother still has it at his house. It's not a good camera. It wasn't my camera. It was my parents' camera. But they let us use the camera. They let us kids use the camera, and we filmed all these horrendous films about dinosaurs getting in battles with humans and Dragon Ball Z characters getting in fights with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. The first film I ever made was a copy of the Power Rangers movie. My dad helped us to make a plagiarizing copy. Not plagiarizing it, we just acted out our own version of the Power Ranger movie with Ivan Ooze. In those days, I was proud of making videos on the video camera. The first time I made my own video without the help of others, I stayed up late and I had the camera in my bedroom and I took films of little action figures and I recorded over it with a voiceover. It wasn't good, but I was proud of it. I did something for myself. Now, I'm proud of not having a camera at all. I'm proud, and it makes me look down on other people. It makes me look down on people for constantly looking at their phones and spending pointless hours and hours looking at phone games or Instagram or TikTok, YouTube, doom scrolling through whatever they choose to doom scroll through. But I'm not happy that I'm proud. I don't think it's a good thing that I have that kind of pride that looks down on people. I don't want to be proud anymore. I want to be happy. Having a specific type of phone was never going to make me happy. It was never going to give me joy. It was never going to give me that Christian radio talk show host joy, that waking up at 5 in the morning and just screaming at people to get up and have a happy day already. Having a light phone was never gonna give me that. It was never supposed to give me that. I want to talk about group chats. I got kicked out of my family group chat for having this phone. That's right. I got kicked out. I'm not allowed in my family group chat anymore. I'm not allowed to see pictures of my nephew and my daughter, my own daughter, in the family group chat. That's because this kind of phone only allows you to send SMS and MMS messages when you're doing a group chat. So when they want to send photos and videos, they send them and they're super tiny, and it's not enjoyable to have messages in that way. I don't blame them for kicking me out. I would kick me out too, but I'm actually glad that they kicked me out. I'm glad that they kicked me out because group chats are social media. Group chats are social media. What they are. What is social media? It's a feed of things that you scroll through. It's a feed of text and video that you scroll through. Text and video and pictures that you scroll through. Text and video and pictures from people that people post to it that you scroll through. That's what group messages are. Group messages are Facebook. Over time, they have gotten to be more and more Facebook. I don't know if group messages have really grown to become more and more Facebook, or if just the way that we interact with each other in general in society has become, at least on the internet, more and more Facebook. Group chats are no different. If I go back and I scroll through a group chat, it's going to have memes. It's going to have people reacting to things, liking things, pictures. It's going to have videos with captions. It's Facebook. Am I sad that I got kicked out of my family group chat? Yes, I do like to see pictures of the kids. I love to see pictures of the kids. That's my favorite thing to do. Yes, in a way I am sad, but I'm also glad because I don't want to have social media on my phone. I don't want to have Facebook on my dumb phone. So I'm glad. One time I was going to a restaurant. There's a restaurant by my grandpa's house. It's called Cops. It's the best burgers that you can buy. It's actually a frozen custard shop, but they have cheeseburgers. It's kind of like Culver's, if you're familiar with Culver's, but it's better. It's way better. We went there and we liked it, and I love that place. I love it a lot. One day we were at a children's play park, and a guy came up to us, a guy who lived in one of the houses that was outside of the play park, and he brought his daughter over to play. As the daughter was playing with my daughter, he asked what we had been up to, and we said we had just come from Cops. We'd eaten a delicious meal of burgers and frozen custard at Cops. And he said, "Oh, why didn't you go to Bubba Burger?" Bubba Burgers is a burger place that's closer by. It's closer by the place that he lived and that my grandpa lives. It's a close by burger joint with frozen custard. Why didn't we go to that one? And he said, that is basically just like Cops, but it's just a little closer. So we told him, well, we didn't know about Bubba's Burgers, but we'll have to go there next time. Well, the next time we were going to my grandparents' house, we decided to go to Bubba's Burgers. It's a place that I've never been to. It's a place that I don't know where it is. While we were on the way to Bubba's Burgers from my house, which is very far away from my grandparents' house and very far away from Bubba's Burgers, the GPS died on my wife's phone. When the GPS died, I didn't know how to get to Bubba's Burgers, except that I knew it was on a particular street that I know of, and I kind of knew a general direction because the guy said, I think he said it's over by Capitol Drive and it's just like west of this one place, those kind of directions. So my wife's phone's GPS died and we were 15 minutes away. The light phone doesn't have GPS. It actually does have maps. It has maps and it has a GPS mode, but it's not useful. Basically, you have to know from where you are going, and then you have to know where you would like to arrive, the address of those two things, and then you get like a MapQuest style list of instructions of where to go. You're 15 minutes away from your destination. That's not gonna help you. That wouldn't have helped me. So that's why I said this kind of directions, the maps on the light phone, are not useful. So we had to go to Bubba's Burgers without a map. And you know what? I found it by the guy's direction of, it's like off of Capitol Drive, and it's like you go west of this one church and then you see it right there on the left. Those kind of directions. I found Bubba's Burgers and I realized I don't need GPS turn-by-turn instructions to drive somewhere. If I can't find it, I'll just drive another block and then turn around and see if it's somewhere else that I missed. By having this phone that doesn't have a brilliantly, wonderfully created GPS utility, I've realized that I don't need that. But if you do need that, don't buy this phone. I bought the Lite phone 2 after the iPhone 11 Plus failed me. I had the iPhone 11 Plus for church. I was running a Facebook Live service for church off of the iPhone 11 Plus, and it failed. It stopped working. The audio started to have these imperfections in it. It sounded like it was cutting out for a few milliseconds every 2 seconds, which if you've ever heard audio like that, it's very disruptive, especially if you're listening to music. A church service often involves music. I sold it as defective and I bought the light phone. I bought the light phone because I wanted to have a dumb phone. I wanted to have a dumb phone. I thought that having a dumb phone would make me then smarter. It hasn't made me smarter. I bought the dumb phone because I wanted to make a dumb phone video. I wanted to make a video about only using a dumb phone. I wanted to make this video, but in making this video, and as I told you at the beginning of this video, I wrote a 4-hour-long script, and I almost didn't even make this video. I almost gave up on it entirely because it's exhausting making videos. And maybe who cares about having a dumb phone? It doesn't matter. Having a dumb phone or a smartphone, every phone, no matter what phone you get, no matter what kind of phone you get, it's smart. It's a smartphone. Devices are smart. How you use it, the way that you use it, what you do with your time and how smart you are with your time is not about how smart your phone is. The pictures that you take are not about how good your camera is. It's about how good of a photographer you are. The way that you productively use your time is not about how good of productivity tools and apps and phones you have. It's about how well you practice doing productivity things. If you don't want to spend so much time on your phone, you don't need to buy a dumb phone. You don't need to buy a dumb phone. Just delete all your apps and forget to log into your Apple ID. You don't need to buy a dumb phone. Just have no phone. It's not good advice because everyone has to have a phone. You don't need to buy a dumb phone. Just use do not disturb mode on your regular phone. You don't need to buy a dumb phone. Just put your phone in another room than the phone that you sleep in. Did I say phone that you sleep in? This phone is basically a life hack. If you know anything about life hacks, you know that they're just gimmicks. And gimmicks don't make lives better. Life makes lives better. Living a good life. Living a fulfilled life. Living a happy life. Doing happy things. Look at a pond full of fish. Gaze at the beauty of a bunch of koi fish eating up little pebbles of food. Gaze at the beauty of a waterfall crisply falling down into a lagoon. Wake up early and look at the sunrise over the horizon. Go for a crisp early morning walk every day for a week. Any of those things would be better than using a dumb phone, I think. But I could be wrong, and if you're a type of person who is thinking that a dumb phone would save your life for some reason or another, well, tell me. Tell me what those reasons are that you would consider using a dumb phone. I want to know. Maybe I'll make another video addressing your concerns and your possibilities and why you think dumb phones are revolutionary. To be honest, like I said, I wrote a 4-hour-long script. I'm telling you that I wrote a 24,000 word script about the dumb phone. Right now, what I'm presenting to you is 2 pages, 240 words. That's 10%. 24. That's 1%. See, I do need the calculator, don't I? It's 1% of what I've actually ever thought about this phone. It's nowhere near all the ideas I've had. Tell me what you think. Maybe I will continue to think, and collaboratively we'll continue to discuss what having a dumb phone is all about. I hope you enjoyed this video. I know I enjoyed making it. Please share it. The end.